What's that, 50 feet?
I don't know, man. It's certainly a lot deeper than the other shaft that we saw.
Does that go underneath there? It looks like it keeps going.
It does, actually. Not only can we see the shaft from the top, but we're going to go down over here, and you can see the shaft from the side as well.
Taking the easy way, huh?
Took the easy way, man. How about this place?
This is awesome.
Isn't it incredible?
This is amazing, yeah. Well, you can see plenty of copper carbonate here. That green carbonate is obviously breakdown of copper. That's a telltale sign. We see it all the time. See all these fractures sort of running in this direction?
Yeah.
There's probably copper in this seam right here. Copper has always been seen as a miraculous metal. We know now that its ions kill bacteria, which is why it's used for pots and pipes. It's valuable. That's why people steal it from abandoned homes. During World War I, more than 270 million tons of copper came from here in the Great Lakes region. But billions of pounds of copper was mined here long before modern times, maybe by whomever left the Newberry tablet behind. This is a significant operation here. There was a lot of copper pulled out of here. It goes back quite a ways.
You can see the tracks that are left from the, from the 1800 miners, and as they worked over the top of the ancient miners. I think the chances are pretty remote that we're going to find evidence of any ancient mining. I mean, the blasting that's been done here, whatever might have been here, is surely gone or buried. Do you think there's any chance I could get a sample from here? You can't take any samples, any copper off the island because it is a national park and it's a preserve.
I understand.
But we're not far from the largest piece of flow copper that anyone has in their possession. And I know for a fact you can take a look at it, maybe get a sample. If nothing else, they have copper samples from the area there that we can get our hands on for sure.
George told me scientific dating on some of the pits proved they were mined 5,000 years ago. I'm convinced that Great Lakes copper was used in the Bronze Age. There may be a scientific way to link it to Bronze Age copper, but I need a sample so I can test its purity. If I find a match, then someone from Europe was here mining Michigan copper 5,000 years ago. And that would mean a complete rewrite of American history. I'm in northern Michigan, investigating the disappearance of millions of pounds of ancient copper. I want to know who took it. I also want to know if there's a connection between whoever mined the copper and the Newberry tablet, which has symbols on it that I think could crack the case. I think that the disappearance can only be explained by miners that came across from Europe during the Bronze Age. I'm searching for a piece of Michigan copper that I can test for purity to find out if it matches with ancient copper discovered in Europe. But first, I'm checking out a massive example of local copper. Wow. Look at that. That's incredible. So how big is it?
Over 28 tons.
You know, I can see obvious glacial striations, so clearly this is a piece that the glaciers picked up, carried it, and dropped it. We see the scratches of being scraped along the ground as it was carried. So, Judy, I just came back from the Manong mine. My friend George took me there, and we saw some mining pits, and we talked about some of the quantities, the estimates of over 1 billion pounds of copper that was mined. So what do you think about the idea of ancient people coming from across the Atlantic and mining copper in this region?
It's the only thing that makes sense. Where did they get all the copper needed to build the Bronze Age, when bronze is made from mostly copper? Why wouldn't they come?
I agree with you. Why wouldn't they have? So they have every reason to do it. What about native legends? Do you know anything about that?
Well, yes, there are some stories about fair-haired, fair-skinned people having been here, and perhaps Native Americans even left a message about that.
Are you talking about the petroglyphs in Copper Harbor, the ship petroglyph?
That's the one.
I've looked at that petroglyph, in fact, and I've done some research on it. Personally, I think it's probably maybe 1,000 years or somewhere in there, but it could be much older. I'm not sure. What do you think?
That ship, I think, is so significant. It's so different from anything Native Americans would have done. The shape of the sail, it's quite square.
I looked at that very carefully a couple years ago, and it has sort of a Minoan-style square sail. The Minoans were a Bronze Age culture from the Greek island of Crete. It was not until around 1900 that archaeologists discovered evidence for the Minoans, but little is known about them. What is known is that the Minoans had a huge sailing and trading empire that dated back to about 3,500 to 5,000 years ago. That's precisely the time that copper in America was disappearing. If I can test Michigan copper and match its purity with that of ancient Bronze Age copper, then I might be able to prove the Minoans were America's mystery miners. Could the Minoans have been involved?
They very well could have been, since they were noted for being marvelous mariners.
We know the Minoans got farther than Crete, farther west than Crete. They were looking for copper, no question about it. We have the copper here. They had the sailing technology to get here. I mean, this would be a huge blow to the standard history that we know. There is a way I think I can test this. It would be great if we could get a sample to test that copper for trace element analysis. I know I can't get a sample of this, but we might be able to get one somewhere from up here. Any suggestions?
Sure. A friend of ours who has a charming shop called DeUper's Tourist Trap. He also is an amateur geologist.
Who do I ask for when I go there?
Hooley.
In my search to uncover the mystery of who mined the ancient Michigan copper, I've seen photos of a long-lost stone tablet found in the area, and a petroglyph of what could be a carved Minoan trading ship. Perhaps the two are connected, and the symbols on the tablet are Minoan. And if I can find a piece of Michigan copper that tests as the exact same purity as a Bronze Age sample, it could mean that the Minoans got their copper from here. All I need is some Great Lakes copper to compare, and thanks to Judy, I have a lead.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Scott Wolter, how you doing?
Not bad, not bad.
Say, Judy Johnson, do you know her?
Oh, yeah.
She said I should be looking for a guy named Hooley.
That's me.
That's you, okay.
Yes,
do you have any copper?
We got lots of copper.
What I'd like to do is I'm wondering if I might be able to get a sample of copper. I think we can do that here. Do you have some I could maybe look at?
Yeah, matter of fact, I was just prepping these two here. I found them in the box downstairs. I forgot I had them.
Oh.
And these are this is float copper.
Say, you're familiar with the giant piece of copper back in Marquette, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is essentially the same thing, just a smaller version.
Yeah, smaller version, yeah. It comes in all sizes.
Say, there's one other thing I'd like to ask you about. I don't know if you know anything about it, but I've been looking into something called the Newberry tablet.
Oh, yeah.
It's gone now, but do you know anybody who might have some information about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, when they found it, there was this big hurrah. I mean, they didn't know whether it was Egyptian or whatever, you know. And luckily, there was a mining journal newspaper guy there that took pictures of them.
Okay.
And then they got stuck in a guy's barn, and then the weather warmed down because they weren't baked clay. They were just, you know, in that just raw form. But they have them down there in the museum in St. Ignace down there. Part of the tablet.
Wait. You mean it still exists?
Yeah. I was just down there, matter of fact, 2 weeks ago.
Hooli, the fact that that tablet still exists is really important, because if I could get it under my microscope and do some weathering studies, I might be able to potentially tie the Minoans with the New World up here. And the Michigan copper mystery might be solved. Wow. It would be a big deal. I can't believe the Newberry tablet, long thought to have been destroyed, still exists. I think it's just the clue I need to solve the case of Michigan's mystery miners. When two woodsmen found the tablet by accident in 1896, they had no idea the importance of their find. When I found out it still exists, I delved deeper and discovered something else. The script on the tablet is thought to be Minoan. But based on what I've learned so far, I see no chance it could have been faked. That's because the tablet was discovered before the Minoan culture was even known to exist. Archaeologists didn't find evidence of the ancient Mediterranean culture until 1900, 4 years after the woodsman found the tablet. Now, I've come to the museum where the stone tablet is kept to conduct an analysis using forensic geology.
Welcome to Fort Dubois. I'm Connie.
Hi, Connie. Scott Wolter.
Scott, glad to meet you.
Say, I'm a forensic geologist, and I was referred to you by a man named Hooley, and he mentioned to me that you had an artifact here that might be helpful in some research that I'm doing about the ancient copper culture. Have you ever heard of the Newberry tablet?
Yes. We have them right here.
You have it?
We have them.
You do have it?
We have them in this museum, yes.
How did the artifacts get here?
Dr. Benson, in the 60s, was a collector of many artifacts, and he received a phone call from Fort Algonquin in the area, and he decided, why not? So he looked at the Newberry tablets, he purchased them, he brought them here.
Tablets?
Well, it came in pieces when it sort of...
So you have more than one piece?
Yes, we have more than one piece.
They've been here ever since?
They've been here ever since, yes.
Okay.
I understand that they were found in Newberry.
Okay.
And the Smithsonian analyzed them. Okay. But at that time, they had no clue, so they put them in the fraud, in the hoax.
In the fraud category?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I don't know if they're a hoax or a real thing.
Let me ask you a question. Has anybody looked at them in modern times scientifically?
No.
That you're aware?
No,
okay.
not at all.
I think I can help you with that. Wow. Oh.